In a distant future, humanity has begun exploring and settling the universe. The military contracting company Exor operates from a vast space complex overseeing a remote planet that houses a colony of imprisoned criminals. The capital of this prison planet is named Osiris. Above the complex floats a massive military base called TAS, which supports new settlements. Here, Lieutenant C. Somerville resides. He is a troubled war hero who left Earth after a disastrous initial combat mission, where a mistake he made led to the death of nearly his entire crew. Accused of substance abuse by his superiors, Somerville was pardoned due to his esteemed career as a fighter pilot. However, the incident left a lasting impact on him and his family. Living on the fleet has strained his ability to see his 11-year-old daughter, Indy. One day, Somerville takes Indy for a walk in the planet's barren desert. Indy is unimpressed and mentions that her mother believes Somerville is fleeing from his past. Somerville brushes off the comment, explaining that he hasn't spoken to her mother in a long time, and that he is proud to contribute to a project shaping humanity's future. To win Indy's favor, he lets her handle his weapon and teaches her to shoot before they explore the new bunkers. When they finish, Indy is sent to Osiris to stay with a babysitter, as she cannot remain on the fleet with him. Somerville promises to return in a week and assures her she can call him any time. Later in the fleet, Somerville's eye assistant, Travis, wakes him and prepares his breakfast while playing his messages. He ignores messages from a coworker and his wife, but listens to Indy's. However, her message is abruptly cut off. When Somerville asks Travis to restore it, the AI informs him that all communications with the surface have been temporarily suspended due to disturbances at the prison. General LX, who heads the Exor complex, is more focused on her own standing than on the people living within the complex. She is receiving a status report after a prison breach that allowed some of Exor's creatures to infiltrate and kill prisoners. The outer cities have disappeared, and it's only a matter of time before the monsters kill everyone on the surface. The Colonel aims to save as many lives as possible, but LX fears this could tarnish the company's reputation. She decides to call a meeting to present an alternative plan, fabricating a story that the prisoners have revolted and are now wielding a deadly virus that Exor experimented with. According to LX, the prisoners are threatening to release the virus in the capital if Exor attempts a rescue, necessitating Protocol 84, which calls for the complete destruction of the colony. LX gives the attendees, including Somerville, 23 hours to handle the situation before the prisoners can negotiate a better deal. She reassures everyone that the people in the capital and their families will be safe. After the meeting, LX orders the Colonel to tag each participant to monitor their behavior over the next 23 hours and isolate anyone showing unusual activity. Desperate after hearing the news, Kane tries to reach Indy but fails. When he asks Travis for details about the prison incident, he is told that the information is classified. The Colonel, feeling sympathy for Kane and valuing their friendship, reveals the truth. There is no virus. Exor's secret is the creation of creatures called Ragged, designed for new colonies. The real threat is that these monsters have escaped and are heading toward the main city. Exor plans to detonate the reactors in 23 hours. Kane is furious with the Colonel for misleading him and endangering his family. The Colonel explains that the hangar bay will be locked down in 20 minutes, making escape impossible. Kane decides to take action by flying out of the station. He steals a ship and skillfully evades the pursuing officers. However, when he pushes the ship to its limits to destroy the final Exor guard, he begins to lose consciousness. The ship's emergency system ejects him from the seat, and Kane manages to deploy his parachute just in time, landing safely in the water. He is then knocked down by a mysterious figure with a weapon. As Kane recovers, he finds himself face to face with Sai, who now holds a gun on him. Kane attempts to fabricate a story about prisoners gaining access to the reactors, but Sai, a former prison nurse, sees through the lie. To convince Sai of the urgency, Kane reveals that his daughter is in the capital and promises access to a secure bunker in exchange for help. A flashback reveals Sai's past as a prisoner on the planet. He is shown having lunch with inmates Dim and Crate, discussing an escape plan with information provided by another prisoner, Carmel. While Crate views the plan as a suicide mission, Sai believes it's a chance they must take. When Book and his group agree to join the plan, Carmel tries to get himself placed in solitary confinement. Instead, he is summoned to a meeting with Warden Morton, who mocks Carmel's religious beliefs and refuses to send him to solitary, subsequently beating him with the help of officers. Meanwhile, Sai incites a fight in the cafeteria, which Morton and the guards surprisingly allow as long as the crowd remains orderly. The fight escalates when Crate injures Sai, leading to a riot and the guards intervening. The prisoners are then sent to solitary confinement, consisting of rotating cells with flickering lights designed to drive them mad. Sai remains there until Morton arrives to take him and Dim for a special purpose. In the present, Sai informs Kane that they will not make it to the capital in time. Kane argues that they won't make it on foot, but suggests they find a vehicle at a smuggling post beyond the mountains. Their conversation is cut short when they spot ships flying overhead, prompting them to hide in the tall grass, indicating that Exor is already searching for Kane. Soon they arrive at a bar near the post where Jip and Bill are having fun throwing knives at a human-shaped target. The bar owner tells Kane that Jip and Bill own the bus outside. Kane tries to negotiate with them, but they are annoyed by the interruption. Jip threatens Kane with a knife while Bill confronts him, but Sai steps in, explaining that Kane is an Exor defector who only wants to see his family and is willing to pay $2,000 for the trip. Bill agrees to take them provided Kane passes Jip's test. This involves getting high and throwing a knife at the target. Kane's perfect aim earns him their approval, and they agree to leave, making a stop to purchase weapons. A flashback shows Dim in a prison cage as a monster approaches. The creature strikes in with its tongue, injecting a dangerous substance. Sai, who is in a separate cage, hears Dim's screams and sees Morton nearby. Morton explains Exor's terraforming project and how they are creating creatures that can evolve and adapt, turning prisoners into these new beings. Suddenly, the floor opens beneath Sai, and he reappears in another room where BTO is waiting. BTO has successfully executed the plan and obtained fake clothes and IDs, including one for Sai as a nurse. Their preparations are interrupted by Crate, who announces that they have unleashed a monster. The prisoners start fleeing as the creatures begin killing everyone, including the monster that was once Karel, who now kills Morton. BTO and Crate plan to go to the capital, but Sai decides to part ways, choosing to go to the opera. In another time jump 2 years prior on Earth, Sai is informed he will be sentenced to 20 years in prison and will be branded a monster for violating the code and betraying public trust. Sai feels that nothing else matters. Back in the present, Kane and Sai are waiting for their ordered weapons, which are delivered by Mandel and Joe. They demand $30,000 for the weapons and Kane pays the amount. After the group leaves, Mandel and Joe celebrate their new money with drinks and dancing. They notice the monsters approaching and try to defend themselves by shooting through the windows. Despite killing a few, the creatures still manage to enter the cabin. Joe decides to use a grenade in a last-ditch effort. Later that night, Kane informs everyone on the bus about the monsters and the impending bomb set to explode in 4 hours. They engage in a philosophical discussion about their predicament, fate, and the ethics of using prisoners for free labor. When they arrive at Osiris a few hours later, the city is engulfed in chaos due to the monsters attacking every corner and turning more humans into creatures. The group quickly arms themselves and decides on a plan. While Kane searches for his daughter, Sai and Bill will provide cover and protect the bus. Jip and Bill defend the bus, shooting any monsters that approach, while Kane and Sai head into the building where Indy lives. Upon arrival, they meet a neighbor who claims he's never seen Indy before, allowing them to proceed. They break into the apartment, finding the babysitter dead, but Indy safe, hidden in the closet. To protect Indy from the truth, Kane tells her that the babysitter has gone home. The group attempts to leave the building, but is blocked by a monster, forcing them to find an alternate escape route. Meanwhile, Jip brings a wounded Bill back to the bus, but unable to find a first aid kit, she watches Bill die in her arms. Kane, Sai, and Indy reach the building's rooftop and lock the door behind them. Sai grabs Indy and jumps from the roof, landing safely on the bus. Kane follows but nearly falls. Sai catches him and helps him onto the bus. They bang on the hatch, begging Jip to let them in. Jip hesitates, mourning Bill, but eventually opens the hatch and starts the bus to drive them away. Sai covers Bill's body with a blanket while Kane explains the situation to Indy, apologizing for not being more present in her life. Indy forgives him. Kane gives Jip directions to the bunker and ensures everyone knows the code to enter the Exor complex. General Lynx is initiating Protocol 8884 when she learns of a bus approaching one of their bunkers. She sends a ship after them. Indy spots it through the window, prompting Kane to have Jip avoid the turn to keep their destination hidden. The ship eventually veers off, allowing Jip to turn towards the bunker. They are almost there when the ship reappears and opens fire. Jip and Kane are killed in the attack, but Sai and Indy survive. Despite her reluctance, Indy is pulled from the bus by Sai, who tries to reach the bunker. As they navigate the caverns, a monster finds them and chases them, infecting Sai with its tongue. Sai manages to kill a monster by shooting it in the eye. They reach the bunker entrance and Indy inputs the code. Both she and Sai make it inside just before the planet is bombed. However, Sai begins to transform into a monster. He asks Indy to find something sharp so he can end his life, but she refuses to leave him alone. As Sai's transformation continues, Indy stays by his side, touching him and talking to him. Another flashback reveals Sai's life as a nurse on Earth. He suffers a breakdown when he realizes that the patients being brought in are his wife and daughter, who have both died. Overcome with grief and anger, Sayeb uses his position to enter the room of the man responsible for the accident that killed his family. He attempts to attack him but is stopped by security. In the present, days after the explosion, two explorers discover the bunker. From a distance, they spot Indy in his space suit. However, they are attacked by Say, who is transformed into a monster but retains some rationality thanks to Indy. After killing one of the explorers, Sai interrogates the remaining one about the situation outside. The explorer reveals that the flotilla is returning to Earth after being recalled due to the catastrophe. The official story being spread is that the prisoners revolted and took control of the reactors, leading to a meltdown with no survivors. Indy offers the explorer a chance to survive. She will help her sneak aboard the flotilla without detection. With no other options, the explorer agrees. The film ends with them boarding the explorer's ship. The final scene shows Indy and Sai communicating through sign language. Indy gently caresses Say's head and holds his hand, telling him they're finally going home. The movie concludes with a poignant farewell as they set off. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for more.